Clerk, record the vote.
Mr. Speaker, 68. Representatives vote aye. 32 have voted no.
Motion passes. Majority Leader Vinton.
Mr. Speaker, I move that the House adjourn and reconvene Thursday, the 83rd legislative day at 8 a.m.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no, and the ayes have it, and the House will reconvene at 8 a.m. on Thursday, April 27th. The House is adjourned.
You're watching Representative Zoe Zephyr walking out of the Montana House chambers after the House body voted to kick her off the floor for the remainder of the session. And good Wednesday evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Colton Little. After the vote to remove Zephyr took place and the session adjourned, Zoe Zephyr spoke with members of the media outside the House chambers. Here's what she had to say to her constituents.
It's important to acknowledge that based on the actions today, every bill that we debate for the rest of the session, there will be 11,000 Montanans whose voices aren't heard. That includes our budget, that includes housing bills. The Speaker's decision today continues to remove 11,000 Montanans from the process.
And those 11,000 people would be considered the 100th Legislative House District, made up of mostly Missoula residents. To further break down everything that went down in the Capitol today, our Ben Wyman joins us now.
Some sort of conclusion reached, a punishment level today against Missoula Representative Zoe Zephyr from House District 100. Now, the question that we had entering today here in Helena was, how big would that punishment be served up by the House Republicans? And would they go as far as, let's say, Tennessee Republicans, who 3 weeks ago actually expelled 2 of their own members from the Tennessee House of Representatives over their comments of the Nashville shooting? Would a censure happen for Representative Zephyr? None of those happened, but a punishment was leveled, and that punishment voted on today by the entire Montana House of Representatives. After Monday's protests ended with 7 people arrested, the motion to discipline Zephyr today was based on her actions on that day specifically. The final vote, 68-32, fell exactly along party lines. Now, that punishment will be Zephyr will no longer be able to participate in the session in person on the House floor. She'll be barred from the gallery and the anteroom as well, and will only be able to participate remotely. And folks, the critical thing here, she will not be allowed to speak on bills, only participate in voting. Today, in a motion brought forth by Majority Leader Sue Vinton of Billings, 3 legislators spoke in favor of Zephyr, 3 against. And the theme for the Democrats, silencing this representative is a dangerous precedent to set, and that what Zephyr did was not the most egregious thing that's ever been seen on the Montana House floor.
And always remember, he said, when you point your finger at somebody, look how many is pointing back. And so when you take that into context, that with this thing here that's before us, there's a lot of events that happen, in, not only in this body, but over in the body of the Senate in the last 21 years, as well as the 21 years and 11 sessions I've seen here. This is nothing compared to some of the events that occurred that we're making this as egregious as they are.
Now, the Republicans condemned the, quote, inappropriate behavior and challenged that the punishment leveled against Zephyr was fair, it was just, and it was reasonable.
Our constituents and our state deserve better. They deserve our full attention, and this institution and body deserve the respect of all its members. However, it has not been respected, and we must regain the decorum of this body, not only now, but also to set precedent for the future.
Now, Zephyr was actually allowed to speak on her behalf, defend herself today on the Montana House floor. It was actually the first time she officially spoke on the House floor since last Wednesday. That's when this whole controversy and her comments began. Here's a little bit of what she had to say in her 5-minute speech.
Let her speak. Let her speak. And when the Speaker gavelled down the people demanding that democracy work, demanding that their representative be heard, when he gavelled down, what he was doing is driving a nail in the coffin of democracy. But you cannot kill democracy that easily. And that is why they kept chanting, let her speak. And why I raised my microphone to amplify their voices, to make sure that the people who elected me here are heard. And that when this body seeks to pass bills that harm our community, that get us killed, that this body is held accountable for those actions.
And folks, I can tell you that the mood around the state capitol today in Helena was filled with solemnness, disappointment. a little bit of frustration on both sides that this was a topic that they actually had to deal with instead of doing their jobs and why they're here today, representing the people of Montana and doing the people's business here in the Treasure State. Reporting in the Capitol, Ben Weinman, Nonstop Local.
All right, thank you very much, Ben. Both the Republican and Democratic leadership spoke today after they left the House floor. Our Joey Taylor was at both those press conferences. She joins us now with their reactions.
When all is said and done, both sides talk about moving forward while standing their ground on their beliefs.
That protest was peaceful. It was disruptive. Both of those things are true. The highway patrol was slowly moving people out of the gallery, and they could have continued to do that. There was no reason to escalate the situation with SWAT. We just have a disagreement on that.
I mean, having to clear the house, police and riot gear, that is not normal operations of the Montana House of Representatives.
One of the key differences between Republicans and Democrats is the way Monday's disruptive protest from Montanans is viewed.
We can't have that kind of behavior on the floor moving forward. And so I guess to your point, Arn, of this gets us that, of removing. I did not know what was going to happen moving forward with that representative, if there was going to be more threats to just even safety. Like I said, the staff and pages and the sergeants, the clerks, I mean, that should not be in question when they come to work.
I will just say that this is beyond our rules, and this is about a broader principle of representative democracy. And there are other avenues to maintain order, and they chose to ignore those avenues and to take this one. It's an extreme decision.
House Minority Leader Kim Abbott went on to say she hasn't seen a punishment like this before in her time serving Montana.
I've seen a lot on the floor. You guys have to. This is an extreme action. It's undercutting our ability to do our work, and it's undercutting democratic representation for a lot of people in the state.
Overall, Speaker of the House Matt Regier says there is a proper way to debate on the floor.
And once again, this is not about a certain issue or not. This is about behavior. And once again, Representative Howell does a great job of articulating the viewpoint and where the stance on where they're coming from. And once again, I think you can do that all within decorum. We debate tough issues here, as in any time. We're expected to, by our constituents, to stand up for the issues that we believe in on both sides of the aisle.
With just about a week left in the session, both Regier and Abbott are looking forward to getting back to work to complete the people's business for the 68th legislative session. I'm Joey Taylor, Nonstop Local.
All right, thank you very much, Joey. One big question was whether or not supporters of Representative Zephyr would descend on the Capitol ahead of today's floor session. Since Monday, when a crowd of over 100 appeared at the Capitol to protest during the House's session, the number of protesters in Helena has decreased. Though a small handful did show up outside the Capitol today to voice their support for Zephyr, even with the House viewing gallery being closed for the public for today's session and possibly beyond that. One protester shared with us the meaning of his sign in relation to the Republican legislature's decision that Zephyr and her supporters had violated House decorum.
The meaning of my sign is that dissent is decorum. In other words, it is appropriate and right, and there should be disagreement, and that disagreement must be voiced. It must be allowed to be voiced. If someone doesn't speak up, then something is wrong in our democracy.
So with just 7 calendar days left, lawmakers must now work quickly to wrap up any unfinished business of the 68th legislative session. We'll follow the progress and the laws that will be passed before the next session in 2025. And tomorrow morning, our Wake Up team will interview Representative Zephyr once again to get her perspective on these recent events. Stay tuned for that coverage at 6 a.m. right here at Nonstop Local.
Get news and weather anytime on nonstoplocal.com. We're on it.